오. Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we are taking a look at Deja Vu by TXT. I am watching this simply because I had just watched their debut track Crown, and I am just really wanting to see a true side-by-side of them as boys to men, if that kind of makes sense, because there's been a long time that's happened between the two, and this is the most recent to me kind of track that's on their channel, and is about a couple months old at this point, which is still very, you know, a lot closer to present day TXT than Crown was, right? For how I'm looking at it. So I'm excited to take a look, see the maturity, the growth, the artistry. I have seen one other outside of Crown, but not with this lens. So I'm very excited for it. Let's go ahead and get started. Wow. 오. That bop never goes away, does it? Yo. This is a really nice track. Wow. Cool. I've been there. You saw his beanie drop. I've been there so many times, making sure I don't cover your eyes. Deja vu. Such an earworm too. Say it. Wow. Oh, that's so fun. Okay, music video time right here. Here we go. Since some things are precious but invisible to the eye, we forget them as life passes by.
나를 태우는 그 불빛 속에 연거까지 긴 여행 속에 너와 나는 슬픈 clarity 너의 눈물 곁들어 지나게 오는 순간에도 너만이 되었지만 너와 나의 face of promise 시계 되지 영원해 baby 날 기다려줬던 너 기억해 아침에 찾아내서 나의 위에 너여 Say my name 순간의 약속처럼 너를 세게 할 거야 마치 Deja vu 마치 Deja vu Say it, say it, say it, say it louder 약속해 오늘 반복해 난 나의 위에 너야 새벽에 신부처럼 반짝여 너를 세게 할 거야 마치 Deja vu 마치 Deja vu Say it, say it, say it, say it louder
This is interesting. Because like I said, I just watched Crown, and now I'm watching this here, and I couldn't tell you. I don't know what year they debuted. So at the top of my hand, offhand, but so like part of me feels that like there's so much it's like so cool, right? To be able to see them at like their debut and how their movement quality looks and how they kind of how their essence feels in the space and how it feels here. It feels like they lived a lot of life at an expedited rate. Does that make sense? So like part of me really loves the depth of this. There's probably a lot of instances in this track that I could be overlooking. Do they have deja vu in the sense of like there's choreography that's repeated throughout their discography here, certain tones, rhythmic patterns, imagery, Easter eggs. There's probably so much of that, and I love that. That I unfortunately, because I haven't marathoned them, I literally just am bookending them right now because I just think it's a really cool opportunity to do that. I just feel that, it just feels like they've experienced a lot together. And some of those things, it would have been better if they didn't experience. Does that kind of make sense? Like there's certain depth to their choices of movement and in some of the imagery and how they're able to commit to character. Like there's beauty in that type of acting, but there's like a genuinity behind their intention a lot of times in how they come across in their presence, just from the very limited things that I've seen. And I think that's what really took me back. It took me aback in it, is that I don't know if I want it to be affected that way for how young I know they are, right? I mean, it's been, quite a, now I'm curious how what the difference is in time. Hold on. Okay. I just looked 5 years, 5-year difference. I am used to seeing maturity of movement around 5 years. You can really see an implicit like environmental vibe from a group. And so they're around that time at this point where you see a huge difference between their debut and now. But this is a different type of difference than what I'm used to seeing in a marathon. This feels like genuinely, I can't explain it. Maybe you guys can kind of help me, especially if you're a fan of this group. There's something about it that it's like, it's really, I got like a little low key, like I'm still just a smidgen emotional about it. Like it feels so, they've experienced a lot of hardship, it feels. Not hardship in the, like, I guess when you're in the public eye, the way that you are as an idol, you're going to experience hardship. That's kind of what comes with it. To the degree of hardship, it depends on the group and depends on the expectation and the company that you're with, and what they allocate or what they ask you or force you to do. With the TXT, I don't know them. Like I said, what I can glean from here is they feel different. They do feel like men. They feel like they've lived some hard times. I'm not going to say like, not financially hard times. I'm not even equating that. Like, there's some emotional hard times lived in this. I don't know what. It feels that way to me. I could be so out of pocket, and maybe it's something completely different. I would love to know, but this feels very different than Crown. But like, it has the same degree of genuinity as Crown too. And part of me doesn't like the fact that it feels so real and genuine, because there's a lot of like, I'm not talking about the lyricism. I'm talking about just like how their stature and how they're coming across. The neurotic concept is so, because it was so gregarious what they did for Crown, but so neurotic, but it's just as fitting. They're either the best actors I've ever seen, or this is lived life. Like, they feel like, I don't know about the lyricism per se, but I'm talking about like the emotion or the tone that they've set in it feels very real, right? And part of me doesn't like the fact that it is, because that means that you have to experience life to have a genuine perspective on what that feels like in that way. And in 5 years, I always, I'd rather people experience things like that never. And so I'm just so curious about the discussions on that end. From a choreography standpoint, I think it's super dope. It does feel very on brand with the trend at the time. I will say that. It doesn't have as many captivating moments, but I would say what captivated me was how they presented themselves in the space. And I do think part of it comes from, I just saw their debut. So, okay, from the top here, from the setup, like, this is really cool, but also it's like, it feels heavy. It just feels heavy to me. I don't know why. Okay, the turn through. I like the look around. That was really nice. The step on tempo. We love a good tempo walk. Super fun. My feature right here. He was in the yellow hoodie, right? For Crown is what I think this guy is. And they totally turn. I like the pull here. Very nice. They're still intentional with the head. So we get to kind of do a low-key comparison between what are some things that stuck out to me in their debut and what we get to see here. This is really fun. Okay. So I like the twinkling in. Notice there's tension that's building up in the torso, but there's really nice focus on the hands. We expand it out. Boom, boom. I love how we're prepping it up right there with a nice lunge and pushing that energy to the outside. And we turn it to the inside, and then we break away. Love that. Boom, boom, doo-doo. Good. We take it, we build it up, we throw it down, da-da-da. Nice. Matches the track pretty decently going through. Holding, boom, boom. There is more unison in this. That is probably another thing as to why it feels a smidgen different just in movement, because there's a lot more unison, a lot more opportunities for me to compare them from each other. In this case, when there's a lot of dynamic changes, level changes, texture changes, things like that, outside of unison, it allows me to focus on something else and not on the actual everybody doing the exact same things. That's what unison is. But so far we've seen quite a bit of unison, which is I have no issue with, especially if cleanliness is something you're known for. I don't see this as like, this isn't the cleanest thing in the world, but I really like how everyone is approaching it though. I like their movement. It feels they feel like a group that's lived life together. This is so weird. It's cool, but it's so weird to talk about with a group. Okay, so we hit it. That little boom. I love this rebound. Everyone kind of makes their own choice. So there's a lot of things that I noticed and picked up on in the debut. There's a lot of these bops that happen, right? And a bop and a pop are different. Pop is an external chest hit. A bop is an internal chest hit. So it's really cool. However, like how it's hitting, it's more accented here versus speed changed, which is really cool. Slowing back in, I love that little trace on the floor. Really nice extension of the arm. Boom, looking up. They still got the head intention. I will give them that for sure. Coming up that little, yeah, cool. I love the stick there. Ba, da, da, da. Good level choice. And you have your feature. Whoa, my bad. You have your feature there, hitting it through. I like that. Digging until they go. And they're transitioning out. Hit, and then they all come up and they trot away. So that, to me, that's different. Like, I'm not used to people just going off, but hey, that's totally fine. I think there's beauty in multiple concepts and multiple choreographic perspectives. I think it's great, and we can celebrate them all. Right here through, and they go and they hit, switching side to side. I like that da da da. So I like with my feature, he goes outside inside, and it feels complementary to what my outside two guys are doing, where they also do the point to match. Picking through, boom, boom, and then we make it nice, a little bit more chill, cool. Little promise, go, and then we hit it nice, little heel toe. Yep, heel toe, 1, 2, 3, 4, very nice. And we go transition it here. It goes do right here to the head, super dope. And then right here we drop down, and then you have a new feature, and you have two of them. Two is your feature. Slide through, boom, cool. Come up, boom, rotate it up. I just rolled my arm. Why did I? Because they rotate, rotate. And they take it up, and then you have them all kind of looking down. I think that's another thing. When you look at their like how they're standing, there's more downcast that's happening in their presence. There's not a lot of like this lift, and it's a very different type of downcast than the beginning of Crown. And Crown, they're down, but there's like it just feels playful. You know, it kind of feels like yeah, I don't know. This is cool though. It's cool, but it's but also interesting. Okay, the slide through is really cool. There's your speed change. I love the speed change. Cool. And there's your straight line, little accent here going from the knee, hit, and then da da da, like that with the build up on that. Yeah, okay. So they roll it, bring it up, and they're about to throw it out of there. Yeah. And I am noticing there's like this little TXT logo that keeps popping up to cover up his stomach. I think that's really funny. Okay. It does like, I think that's cute. Okay. But it does, I think too, maybe it's because I'm way more used to analyzing modern day choreography in the hype K-pop like field of choreographers they have compared to like the debut stuff of a lot of groups, because it's a lot of these choices, like for me, this feels more predictable in their movement quality choices than Crown was. And Crown is like 5 years old to me. And so I think that if anything, this is showcasing a reflection of the trends. And I know I'm overly saturated in modern day choreographic structures and the influence of media and all of that within that, right? And Crown back then, the intention was not to make a challenge out of it, right? Because that was 2019, explosion at TikTok, all the short stuff, right? Like that's still very new when you really look at it in the grand scheme of things. And so the format of the choreo is going to be reflective of that too, of course. But it doesn't feel like, I'm not saying it's watered down. I'm not saying it's simple. I'm not saying those things. It just feels more predictable to me. Like when they rev up, I expected them to throw, and they ended up throwing. Now, do they throw the same way? They did to a certain extent in their texture, but not in it doesn't downplay or discredit the intention entirely, right? It just doesn't, the other one, Crown, just caught me more off guard in their choices, but there's beauty to celebrate in both and understanding the times in which both operated out of. And then you threw da-da-da-da. I like that choice, so they pick it up. I like the subtlety here, and then the fold over with the hat. So that's really nice. I like that choice where you have a really nice legato happening with the hip, and then you're having a different choice going up, low-key polyrhythmic with the head, hits it through. And then they noya, and they goes and extends it out. And I like the push, like the angstiness of using the chest to help with that grab is really dope. And they end it through, so I like the grab with the chest, hitting with the accent, and then expanding it to the back. It's really cool. And the switch, and then we go grab our mouth. And then once again, we take the leg, we kind of swoop it, and take the arms, expand it out. Really cool. Deja vu, we take, I really like this tension on that. Deja vu. And then going from side to side, I love me a good balance on that. It does remind me of Crown, where they have the they end up balancing on doing whatever they set up staging on one side, they do it on the other side. So I like the subtlety there. I get the imagery of deja vu, where deja vu is you see something done the same way, but you're reintroduced to the movement here, right? Which I think is super cool. I like that little hit right there. Is this the guy that I thought that was wearing the this guy here? Was he in the white shirt for Crown? That's my question. If you're noticing, I would highly suggest watching my analysis of Crown before watching this, because you're going to understand where I'm operating from 100 times more while you watch this. That's just my personal hot take on that, but I digress. This is really fun to watch though. I really like it. Say yeah, I like that, taking it through. Say yeah, boom, they hit it here from one side. So they end up going up and then over to the other side. Nice little Superman on that. I like that say it, and then they bring it up and twinkle it through. So I like that choice. Super cool. And they do a little sweep around to get us really set up on the other side. Accent, boom, boom. They're sure. That's super cute. And it's at least branded with the, well, I guess with the comeback, right? That's cute. We love it. And then bring it up. Nice and angsty, but they don't cover anybody else's. I think that's what makes it really funny. Okay, so to take it around, there's your speed change hinge. Love me a good hinge. Accent, boom, boom. Cool. What I find interesting here is that I'm used to seeing with their feature in the center, expanding or presenting to the front or to the back, not as much committing to a side. So I'm seeing that a little bit more here, but I don't mind it. I think it's cool. Dub choice, it comes through, boom, doo-doon. I like the rotation of that, boom, boom, boom. And then you have the head to accent on the tail end to really add an extra sense of punctuation on it. Hitting it through. I like this little thread through with the head. And then we expand it down. I love that. Nice stability check, very stable. Doo-doo-doo, little body roll, feels like a little x-ray moment there. Drop it down. And we take it boom, boom, matching the percussion on that very effectively. Love your V. And then to drop down, cool. New feature coming in. Very easy way for us to clock who your feature when you have everybody drop except for one person. You're naturally going to want to look at the one person. So good job on that part. I love the subtlety here. Nice tension there. And if this is also a complete side note, what I know from Crown is the exact degree of information I know watching this. So I have no information on their age. I don't know their I don't know their names. I think Subin's was somebody that exists, I think, and I guessed my guy right here as Subin, so maybe I'm right. I don't freaking know. And I've seen them pop up a couple times on my algorithm on shorts, and so I would watch that. But I'm very not nearly as familiar with them as I am with other groups that I have in fact marathon. But I digress. But my point being is that this is so cool that I'm not going to be able to operate and look at their choreography moving forward the same lens that I have now from their debut and watching their most recent work. That's just so cool because I don't have it's just a different type of hybrid than what you normally see from me in terms of whenever you watch me do a 17 comeback nowadays and then seeing the very first version I watched, or the very first take I ever watched of them, it's so different, right? But the analytics or the analysis is still the same and justified, but what I know and what I bring to the table in terms of context, I think is different. And so in this case, I just think this is just a really fascinating thing that I haven't really done before. And so I'm very curious on y'all's thoughts of people who you're seeing me look at a group, low-key seeing a bookend of a group and none of the middle for context. And that's just how I feel. Like this one just feels different. Obviously, I think it's because they've grown up, but to the degree of how it feels, I find very fascinating. But anyway, here's your tension here. Boom, da-da, boom. He goes and he rotates around. And I like this choice where he takes his arms, expands them around. It creates a fun little hinge moment and rotation. I think is cool. Gravity, cool. And I like the twinkling of the fingers. It ties into a lot of the choices that have already been made in the choreo, which I like. And they go do-do-do-do, nice, and they made it. It's not just a simple drop. They added, I think, like a subtle snake in it, yeah? Oh, da-da-da, boom. So they justified that da-da-da in the back by making it involved with the head before they drop. Really cool. The pull on this, da-da-da, boom. I love the subtlety of this. I really like this song. But I don't know. It's like a really good ta-da-da-da. It's angsty and it feels intentional, but also it's an earworm too, just in a different way. It's cool. I like the triple da-da-da-da. I really like that on there. And then you have my guy right here. I think he was the one in the gray shirt, right? This dude here, maybe. I like that bringing that ba-da-da. I like the little bounce happening out of that too. Switch, they come back in. And I love that little hit. They go bring it around the back. Hit that, boom, to the back, and then we go, nice little throws, but with tension with the torso, I think is really cool. Bringing it through, dun-dun with the double up. That dun-dun-da-da. I like the little swing happening here, and you have the subtlety of the head, dropping it down and then bringing it back up. Really cool choice, side, and down and up. Cool. Love that. Rotation in, there's your accent right there, and then right here into the chorus. Okay, yeah, boom. I like his vibrato. I think it sounds really cool here. Yeah, and there's your subtlety here. Woo! Yeah, I like his tone here. I mean, I didn't really hear their do vocal comparison or anything like that, but that was very nice and it feels very full and matured. So that was cool. Love that moment. Pulling it through, boom, boom, boom. Nice little pulses happening out of that. switch, switch, and we bring it up. Really nice. No, 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 yeah. Nice. Boo. Yep, savu. So it's very similar in structure to the first course. Cool. Nothing crazy there. Say yeah. There's your Supermans once again. Say it out. So here they didn't do something like they do more of like a say it out loud. So they're using more of that wordplay here. They drop it down. There's your hinge. I love that. Notice the opposition of the mirrors happening in the back. And then you have your guys in front also mirrored. And so it feels really nice. Low-key abstract, different, but there's mirroring even happening within the lines that they're in, even though it's a circle. And then you have your center committing to. Really cool. The nice little hit. And then they go over. I like the pickup. Nice commitment there. Boom, boom, boom. I love that choice too. Ding, ding, nice little add-on, ding, 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 ding. Really nice on the usage of the back, using the hands here, swinging, and then notice that we're keeping this groove present there is really nice. That was super dope. Like in my case, I can equate it similarly to like an illusion, but it could have a martial arts influence of some kind. I've seen that there too. Using the floor is just this baby balance point, but he did a pretty great job fully lengthening through that. Really cool. Oh, that, and then we go when we add on from the back. Ding, 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 ding. Triple it up. Cool. Nice. Hitting it through. Boom, 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 boom. Now here, a lot of times I've seen groups whenever it drops out like this, that it's over. And so in this case, it's not over. And I kind of appreciated that because I was like, oh, I was a little like saddened that it was over. And so I'm really happy that they finished it. Boom. They're like, Yaksoke, promise me. Because I'm like, we're here. And so now he's here. The subtlety here, notice that we're the praying. It's just the downcast of it and allowing it to influence the direction of the head's really cool. And I like how he's kind of sitting more in the back of his heels on this, boom, to create this nice little lean. It's a really nice stoic moment. And everyone's making a subtly different choice, you know that? Like, I'm kind of here for it. Even though they all look so freaking similar, they all feel like completely different people, which is super dope. I love it. And they act it down, boom, and then he has this moment, da-da-da-da. Yeah, and that right there. So I deal with that so much. If you've seen my work take by ATs, if you've seen me do anything with a beanie on, that's real right there. Anytime you do a sense of like a jerking movement, that beanie can slide down and cover your eyes. And so you have to like do like a micro adjustment without taking away from the choreo. And the amount of times I've had to do a retake just because my beanie covered my face, it's too many. So I really feel for him there, but he's doing the best he can on it. And it doesn't bother me in the slightest. It makes me feel seen as somebody who also wears beanies when I do dance practices. And it can just, it's good until it's covering your face. And I'm shocked it actually took 2.5 minutes for it to actually get over his eyes, which I find funny. They come up, boom, boom. I love the switch on that. That's super cool. And we go through, boom, and up, boom. Really nice. Cool. Say it, oh yeah. Deja vu. And then there's your subtlety here. Love the tension on that. Very well done. Deja vu, really cool, twinkling it in. They triple it up, 1, 2, 3. It's a nice little unison moment. We loved seeing those. And they go to the outside, say yeah, boom. He promotes forward, which is cool. There's your Superman kind of vibe with the body accent, but notice it's a little bit more full. It feels more punctuated to us. Feels more declarative, which is nice. And I like the subtlety where they bring it forward and then they switch up the foot. I think that was really dope too. Boom, I love that choice where they expand it up and then they bring it down, which is nice. And they look really cool finish. Now, there's a very interesting thing that I do kind of want to, those of you who decide to watch both, which I know Patreon, especially Shelby, I hope you do, because she recommended for her request on Patreon, Crown. And so I'm actually doing this. She's getting a twofer because I think it's a really cool opportunity to do this. But what I find interesting is that this one took me literally half the time to analyze. And I think part of it comes from the structure of the choreography I'm way more familiar with because of the trends of the times. But also it makes me curious, it is simpler than Crown, extensively. Part of it could be rookie choreo, a lot of times goes so freaking hand because they have the energy to do it. This, to me, it doesn't bother me that this one has a simpler approach to it. Simple doesn't mean easy. Does that make sense? The textures and the switches of the textures, it's not easy to do, period. Especially when you're singing, hello, right? But just doing a direct comparison, which is why I'm watching this, is really to kind of explore this in the headspace that I'm in, because I know it's very specific and I don't get to do this with a lot of groups, I feel like it makes me want to have the conversation of, because I've been thinking it for a little bit, but this is a really good example of it. I can kind of tell who's on the track, like choreographically, because I've seen a lot of these fingerprints, or there's a lot of predictability in the choices, right? But before I continue this thought, let me go verify who I think is in fact choreographed on this. Okay, cool. So I looked and I saw that it is by Kim Supin, and she is a performance director with Hype. Cool. And she's been with them for a hot minute now, is what I was gleaning from her Instagram. That's super cool. But I will still say this because I'm curious about the discussions, like I had mentioned. You can really tell when we're operating from like a post-pandemic choreographic lens on things versus pre. And I like, as much as I understand that, I really do, part of me does have a sense of yearning for the creative avenues that used to be explored pre-pandemic. And I know a lot of it got stifled because part of surviving in the industry across the board music-wise is virality, or how often your song is going to be done to the masses. And one really big key thing that can help with that are challenges in people using your audio on these platforms. And that's just been something that has shifted. And so I understand choreography nowadays really tries to placate with that in mind. There's so many logistics to that. Totally respect her. Like, I really like the fact that she is a long-term affiliate with this group. I love seeing it. And I always, as a person who is that for studios myself, real recognizes real. I love seeing that. Super cool. But my point stands, though, is that it just feels different. And there's certain elements that I like that are different. And there's certain elements that do make me want to look at my own self and look at what about the shift has kind of modified the perspective in which dance is presented in the scene in general, in this way, right? I think that's kind of like my underlying kind of question that I have. And especially if you're somebody that's looked at her choreography on them over the years, I would love to hear your thoughts. Because remember, like I said, this is only my third analysis on them. And the second one that I just looked at was their debut. A huge gap between the two. But that's what makes it fun for me. And then the very first one, I think it was like Chase That Feeling. Really enjoyed that one, by the way. So you can go find that somewhere. I don't know. I think I caught it right when it aired, or they had it. So that one's pretty cool. But I digress. I hope I was able to make some sort of sense. But I really enjoyed this in different ways than I was expecting. And that's what I think makes just looking at dance and choreography in groups so freaking fun. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. Thank you, Shelby, for the initial request of requesting Crown that motivated me or inspired me to want to take a look at this. So we thank her for that, as well as any other TXT fans that are on Patreon. They are huge advocates for the group, as well as those who have followed me for quite some time. I do hear about TXT pretty often, which makes me feel encouraged knowing that people are curious about my perspective on various groups. And I really like so far their tracks. They're 3 for 3 on 4. There's a track that I know really, really well that I've choreographed to before from them. There's 4 for 4 on tracks that I really like. They're all cool. I would add them all to my Spotify. Which I think is super cool. If you want to see more TXT, I hope to be able to react to them more in the future, and maybe we'll get a marathon sometime in the future too. But I also really love the fact that we were able to do something like this. They're the only group I got to do this with, which I think is even cooler. So I'm very curious on y'all's thoughts here. I hope I was helpful, like I've mentioned, and I hope to see more of them for sure on Jess Reacts. Once again, my name is Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.